Okay, so let's talk about the five lenses because these are very helpful ways of looking at the whole issue, and I think much more, if not perhaps exhaustive, much more revealing for what it means to be a culture maker, to live in culture, and to participate in and critique it. So the first one is the meaning dimension, culture as immune system, and I found this one particularly evocative because, well, you compare it to sneezing, for instance, right? And we all know what it feels like to interact with a person, a flesh and blood person, who has an immune response, a visceral reaction to something we say or believe or profess. And we all know what it feels like to have that same reaction. Talk to us about the meaning dimension.
Yeah. Yeah. So the meaning dimension, I was trying to capture the way the culture is contagious. I was taught, and maybe this is a bit of another metaphor to get at it. I was taught to in seminary to analyze culture as a text. So a text is a world and work of meaning, and so the same way that we can interpret scripture, right, through the skills of hermeneutics, of exegesis. We can also do that with culture. We can learn to read, for example, the signs of the times. We can interpret and exegete culture. And indeed, the name of this book is Interpreting Your World. So I'm still very much a fan of that. I'm very much a fan of cultural hermeneutics or cultural exegesis. But the one limitation of that metaphor of culture as a text that we can interpret is, I have a text here and I can pick it up, put it down. You know what I mean? It's sort of remote from me. It's detached from me. And it doesn't quite
Mm.
capture the way that culture is contagious. The way that things spread like viruses, like memes, right? This is the whole idea of memes. Memes are these viral bits of culture that spread throughout the world. And this was before meme took on this whole new meaning that it has now of these little graphics, graphic files or things like
Yeah.
that. But a meme is a little bit of culture that spreads like a virus. And I found this again, this imagery of viral. We talk about something going viral to be really helpful just in the way that we think about culture. And if you think about all of us having this sort of cultural immune system, so that as you move through the world, there are certain things that your immune system takes in as healthy for you, and certain things that it guards itself, it fights against. And you know it when you sneeze, right? You know it when you have a temperature that goes up, right? And this happens not just on a physiological level, but it happens on a cultural level, right? That there are certain ideas or people, on social media that you have this immune system response to. Before it even gets to your intellect, your body reacts to it, right? You feel
Yeah.
defensive. You feel like you're ready to fight against it. And I felt like that just kind of really captured the way that culture acts to give us a sense of stability and security in the world. And so naturally, when we encounter a sort of rival immune system, a rival way of seeing the world, we might feel threatened by that, right? And so that's what I'm sort of playing with is the way that when we talk about meaning is not just something that we sort of extract from a text or extract from a cultural artifact, but that meaning is something that enables us to feel secure, and then also enables us to sort of go out into the world because we feel secure. And so that's what I was
Mm.
trying to get at with the meaning dimension. It's this question that it answers. So if we talk about the sort of magnetic questions, am I securely connected in the world? Am I stable? Right. So I use the example of this time when I was in Russia, just above Mongolia, and I got lost in this Russian neighborhood, and my language skills weren't great, and it was night, and I didn't know where I was, and I felt as frightened as I had ever felt before up until I had kids. And this is what I mean, that we can experience cultural situations where you feel like there's no tethers connecting you to anything. And then the difference between that and, for example, where I'm sitting right now in my parents' house, there's all of these tethers of meaning everywhere I drive. I walk down the
Mm.
street and I see the houses of neighbors, and I'm very securely fit in this cultural space where I grew up. And so if you sort of think about meaning, the meaning dimension of culture as this struggle to have a sense of security, a sense of feeling like I fit, I'm at home in this world, even as I explore the broader world. And so, what ultimately are the things that are going to secure us, make us feel secure, especially if you're in this multicultural world, this world of pluralistic perspectives. And ultimately, the thing that secures us, that gives us the deepest meaning, has to be the story that we are given in the gospel of Christ. And so that's what I'm trying to do in each of these chapters, is to listen to the conversation as it's already happening, which is what a way of saying that all of these 5 things are things that we are always already engaged with. We're always interested in, we're always talking about, we're always thinking about. We just don't always name it as such. And they're deeply theological, which is why I always tell my students, you're always doing theology. You just might not name it as such.
Right.
And so that's the meaning dimension.